Payment services. In order to determine the two critical uncertainties facing payment services industry moving forward to 2037, we ask two questions. How connected will the world be? And how will the payment services industry develop? There are four scenarios we developed. The first being, let's stay connected, which is a world where technology advancements fuel security threats and regulatory freedoms allow free trade. The second, let's move forward, which is a world where exponential advances in technology means that payment services companies are engulfed by alternate methods of payment that protect businesses and consumers from threats of personal information hackers. The third scenario, regulated dystopia, a world where government regulation binds free trade and a lack of technology means communication as we know it becomes non-viable. Lastly, back to the future, a world where traders are free to buy and sell with little intervention by the government. Due to the lack of internet, trade grinds to a halt. Scenario 1. Let's stay connected. A possible scenario for our industry of payment services could be the domination of technology in an unregulated environment. One of the highlights of this scenario will be the widespread nature of digitalization. By 2020, a Generation C for connected, would have grown up in a primarily digital world. A world where connected devices, the internet, and social networking will become more than a daily habit for its members, similar to an extension of themselves. This trend will be enhanced as a result of three factors. The consumer pull. This new generation will be increasingly willing to share personal data, to trust the internet and networks. The technology push. Affordable new connected devices flood the industry and cloud computing will expand quickly. Economic benefits. A large capital will be invested into the digitalization technologies and early movers will be compensated with unprecedented valuations. Another highlight is the lack of government regulation. It's assumed that this lack in government regulation will allow individuals to trade freely even on an international basis. Those with technological ability will thrive in this environment, and a lack of intervention by the government allows technology to rule the world, bringing us on to the next point of concern, cyber terrorism. This will be a major risk for the security of our banking details and private information. The rise of cyber attacks would have the potential to erode the overall integrity and confidence in the payment systems industry. Cyber terrorism and fraud thus will represent an additional cost for companies. Scenario 2. Let's move forward. This is a world where payment services will consist of high technological advancements and government regulation, resulting in high virtual security data. In this world, global digitalization continues to grow, and the government has developed relevant regulations so that cybercrime does not exist. Digital currencies. This world has also seen a rise in the use of digital currencies, for instance, Bitcoin, which has reshaped the payments landscape. This has increased online and cross-border commerce. It has also increased demand for new services and use of global standards. The payment service industry has observed an increase in new policy development, legalization, and retail payment system regulation, which are all adapt to these technological advancements. This has assisted in keeping the payment service industry in check through requiring external and internal controls to avoid financial scandals, specifically fraud and abuse. The government has also developed new international regulations to monitor international transactions. In turn, these regulations have improved the safety, reliability, equity, confidence, and efficiency of the different types of payment systems, thus increasing consumer confidence in new payments. Government regulation. Further, government regulations have monitored the activities of businesses in order to ensure virtual security for consumers. The existence of appropriate laws and procedures has ensured that individuals cannot abuse the system, and those who commit cybercrimes are held to their actions. The combination of high-quality technology and government regulation has ensured that there are no viruses and cybercrimes, including frauds and scams. As such, security and trust within consumers has increased. Scenario 3. Regulated dystopia. Imagine a world dominated by government regulation, but there's no technology. What impact would this have on the payment services industry? Would the impact be positive, negative, or both? Let's look at the beneficial impact of this change. For banks under highly regulated supervision, their databases may get better protection. As the internet is paralyzed, the possibility that hackers want to attack banks will become obsolete. Everyday civilians go back to traditional methods of payment, and trade will be protected by strict law. Rather than the imperfect laws of electronic payments, the law is more perfect for the form of traditional payment methods. Let's look at the detrimental impact of this change. Information control by the government. Like the condition in George Orwell's novel 1984, the government with high regulation can control personal information in the process of payment services, and every transaction will be highly regulated by the government. The word privacy will not exist, because, quote, the big brother is watching you. Low technology also means the process will become slower. This represents an opportunity cost of convenience had the payment services process been digitalized. Globalization and digital resistance. When a country conducts highly regulated measures, the flow of funds between countries are hindered, thus making international trade difficult. Scenario 4. Back to the future. Let's move to another scenario for payment services industry. Imagine a world where society is technologically inept and there is a lack of government regulations. This is a world where the payment services industry has changed rapidly, creating an atmosphere of uncertainty and anxiety. Firstly, there has been a decrease in consumer confidence. Due to the economic downturn, government has faced numerous issues and therefore funding the payment services industry has not been a priority. Digital payments as a method and appropriate regulation no longer exist. Merchants are required to pay excessive interchange fees to their respective financial institutions. This surcharge cost has been passed on to consumers in the form of higher costs for products. As a result, higher retail prices has led to chaos in the payment services industry, as consumers' interests are neither guaranteed nor protected. Secondly, the issue of fighting against cyber attacks has been posed. Due to the lack of proper regulation of internet banking, there has been an increased risk in the data security and thus more pressure on the payment services industry to find alternative methods of payment. In this world, businesses and consumers prefer traditional payment methods, cash and check, due to the lack of security associated with online payments. Banks have become a popular choice. This has led to the closing down of many payment services businesses. Some payment service providers offer an alternate method of payment, which does not require connecting to the internet. Mobile payment services has been developed through the collaboration of payment services businesses, telecom operators and banks. Consumers and merchants can send and receive payments via mobile banking services. This method proves to be a more secure and risk-free than the internet banking.